The story begins with Vivi Levian, an 18-year-old rabbit born into a distinguished family of shapeshifters, but unlike the rest of her kin, Vivi fails her coming-of-age ritual and she can't take on a human form. To her proud, noble family, this failure makes her little more than a living curse. Banished to the feared Black Panther domain, Vivi trembles at the thought of being abandoned forever. Her small body shivers as she sobs in the shadows until the sound of approaching footsteps makes her freeze. When she opens her eyes, she sees a tall figure leaning down to scoop her up. A man in a black uniform, his sword still dripping with blood. His icy expression makes it unmistakable. He's one of the Black Panthers. Vivi's instincts scream that she's about to be eaten. She thrashes desperately in his arms, but her panic only draws a cruel smile from the man. He seems entertained by her tears, even amused, as though watching her cry brings him pleasure. Confused and terrified, Vivi realizes this is just the beginning of her struggle to survive in this brutal world. Yet, instead of killing her, the panther unexpectedly carries her back to his home. Vivi awakens in a lavish bed, dazed, convinced she's being fattened up for slaughter. Refusing to surrender, she gathers her courage and makes an escape attempt, only to be intercepted by another panther who blocks her path. This second man warns her to be careful, explaining that she now belongs to his master. Vivi doesn't understand until he clarifies she is nothing more than her master's precious emergency meal. Horrified by the revelation, her mind spins and she collapses from the stress. When she next opens her eyes, Vivi overhears a physician discussing her case with the panther. The doctor explains that she gives off no human pheromones and shows no sign of ever taking on a human form. To him, she is nothing more than a common rabbit. Still, the panther insists she clearly understands human language. The physician, unconvinced, dismisses her as an ordinary beast and leaves. The remaining man introduces himself as Rudd Everin, servant to the Panther Lord. He taunts Vivi mercilessly, even announcing that she'll be cooked and eaten the very next day. With chilling casualness, he even suggests grilled rabbit would taste best. Vivi trembles in dread, her will to survive weakening. That night, she lies beside the Panther Lord, Ahin, torn between running away and staying. She knows she could never make it far alone in Panther territory, and even if she did, her family would likely reject her return. Out of conflicted gratitude, she tentatively pats Ahin's head with her paw, only for him to suddenly open his eyes. Shocked, she bursts into tears. Instead of comforting her, Ahin smirks and asks if she's afraid of being eaten. When she nods, he tells her to cry even more, clearly obsessed with her tears. Vivi desperately rubs at her eyes, trying to produce more, but no tears come. Amused, Ahin declares he'll eat her the day after tomorrow instead, then pulls her close and falls asleep, leaving her trembling in silence. The next morning, Ahin departs for his duties, leaving Vivi in the care of his maid, Meme. To Vivi's surprise, the day is filled with comforts, a tour of the mansion, soothing baths, and rich meals. For a brief moment, she feels almost safe. That changes when Mem takes her to the gardens, where Vivi spots the massive iron gate. Seizing her chance, she bolts toward it, but a dagger slams into the ground before her, stopping her in her tracks. Meme calmly warns her that the outside world is even more dangerous and that she must remain within the mansion's walls. Later that night, Vivi is jolted awake by the sound of unsteady footsteps. Ahin staggers into the room, bloodied and badly wounded. Everin rushes in with the physician, who begins stitching his master's injuries. Everin curses the werewolves, suggesting they retaliate by sending back the enemy's corpses. Ahin refuses. Instead, with burning eyes, he demands 30 of his men march into wolf territory and bring back the enemy commander's head. When the doctor finishes and leaves, Ahin turns his gaze on Vivi, calling her a clever little creature. He teases her again, but suddenly pauses when he catches a faint whiff of pheromones at her neck, a scent only beasts on the verge of becoming human ever emit. Though puzzled, he dismisses the thought, assuming she must be some rare species, and drifts into sleep. The next morning brings yet another shock. Ahin's wounds, which should have taken days to heal, have mysteriously vanished overnight. Ahin begins to suspect that Vivi might be connected to his rapid healing. He orders Everin to discreetly investigate the noble rabbit families, checking whether any of their heirs have gone missing or mysteriously died. The following day, Vivi is introduced to Ahin's mother, the matriarch of the Panther clan. To Vivi's surprise, the woman seems delighted to discover that she understands human language. Sending Memi away for privacy, she plays with Vivi for a while, eventually realizing her son is treating the little rabbit as future food. Vivi stiffens in fear, but the woman reassures her, advising her not to act too meek around Ahin. Instead, she tells Vivi to keep him entertained, warning that if he loses interest, he might actually eat her. Before leaving, she also mentions that she picked up a faint trace of pheromones from Vivi, leaving the rabbit utterly bewildered. Later, Vivi broods over Ahin and his mother's words. Pheromones, she knows, only emerge after a shapeshifter completes their transformation. Could this mean she still has a chance at becoming human? Her thoughts are cut short when Ahin returns, nursing a wound on his face from another clash with the Wolf clan. He demands that Vivi heal him again, but she flatly refuses. Irritated, Ahin threatens to devour her, forcing Vivi to reconsider. Unsure of what to do, she nervously licks his wound, and to her shock, the cut vanishes instantly. Ahin thanks her with unexpected warmth, remarking that he enjoyed her method. The next morning, Vivi once again meets the Panther matriarch, who formally introduces herself as Valence Grace. She teaches Vivi a strange breathing technique, instructing her to press on her blood vessels and hold her breath. Vivi experiences a strange energy coursing through her body, and Valence tells her to memorize the sensation. Not long after, Ahin and Everin escort Vivi into a carriage bound for the edge of the city. For the first time, Vivi glimpses the outside world and her heart swells with longing. She wonders if she'll ever be able to travel freely on her own one day. Their destination, however, chills her. A temple belonging to the very priest who once branded her a curse in front of her family. Memories of that humiliation surge back, and Vivi refuses to enter. Ahin, unconcerned, tucks her into his coat pocket and carries her inside anyway. Set on a table before the priest, Vivi's panic resurfaces. She remembers every slight, every cruel word, and bolts out of the hall in shame. Ahin and Everin chase her, but Vivi's speed allows her to slip away. She soon finds herself at the foot of a statue of the animal god, tears spilling as she questions why she alone must suffer in this world of shapeshifters. Ahin catches up and gently picks her up, relieved she hasn't truly escaped. Everin, arriving behind him, jokingly concludes that Vivi must hate temples and even be an atheist. To Vivi's astonishment, Ahin immediately decides to abandon the temple visit entirely, simply because she dislikes it. That night, Ahin makes his possessiveness clear. He tells Vivi that beasts like him are territorial, and since he was the one who picked her up, she belongs to him alone. Vivi is left wondering whether he's threatening her or trying to stake some sort of claim. The next morning, during a stroll through the garden, Vivi meets Lady Valence again. This time, Valence teaches her how to consciously release pheromones by focusing energy into her lower abdomen. Though exhausted, Vivi manages to produce a faint response, impressing the Panther matriarch. As encouragement, Valence gives her a book about pheromones. Later, while reading it, Vivi learns that pheromones are natural scents unique to each species, used for communication, dominance, or defense. For rabbits, however, pheromones are typically linked to evasion and survival. Just then, she hears laughter and turns to see Ahin and Everin watching her. The sight of a tiny rabbit earnestly studying a book about pheromones sends them both into fits of amusement, much to Vivi's embarrassment. The next day, with Ahin and Lady Valence both occupied, Vivi spends her time playing in the garden with Memi. But her peace is shattered when a stranger suddenly scoops her up. Dazzled by his striking golden eyes and pale pink hair, Vivi initially wonders if he might be a harmless herbivore. Her hopes vanish the moment he flashes sharp fangs, confirming he's another beast. Terrified, Vivi cries out for Memi to save her. The man begins sniffing her, commenting on the heavy scent of panther pheromones clinging to her. Vivi trembles helplessly in his grasp until Ahin arrives, commanding the stranger to release her. The man reluctantly obeys, but not before leaving traces of his lion's scent on her. Disgusted, Ahin picks Vivi up and glares at the lingering smell of another beast on her body. Vivi, innocent and confused, has no idea why he's so upset. Furious and possessive, Ahin storms off with her in his arms, carrying her back to his chambers. Subscribe for Part 2.